All right, well, thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Dr. Sally Foote. I am a veterinarian, and I have my practice in Tuscola, Illinois. It's about a half an hour south of here. And so in addition to having my Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree, I'm also a certified animal behavior consultant through the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants. That's what all those extra initials mean after my name. I do a lot of behavior consultation and public speaking from my office. And so with Carl Clinic, I've got this great opportunity to help you and your pets and your new family all get along well together. One thing that all veterinarians are really promoting, and we're really doing a lot for speaking and such on public safety, is bite prevention. And it starts even before you have children, but especially when you have children. So that's myself and my little dog Bella sitting there outside my office. Tuscola. So Sasha's here tonight. We're going to use her a little bit of demonstrating, which is different than what we've done in some other talks. So we want to keep pets and children safe and happy. So these are some of the goals I want you to walk away with tonight. So I want you to know some normal dog and cat behavior, because some things are normal behavior that set our pets up for possibly biting our children. We don't know it's normal because we're not a dog or a cat, right? I mean, you're going to learn about child behavior, right? Maybe you've never had children before and wonder, why does my child do this, But anyway, so it's my job as a veterinarian to help educate you at least on what's normal behavior and how to set up for safety, or we may actually train this dog to not maybe do some things which would be a normal behavior, okay? And like I said, especially which behaviors are going to put our kids at risk for possibly getting bitten. The power of rewards. Rewards are not bribes. A lot of times people think like, oh, you're just bribing them. Oh, you're just spoiling them. No. A reward is a paycheck. If I'm asking Sasha here to lay here quietly while I'm talking in this room full of strangers that she doesn't know from Adam, and while she's a very friendly dog and she likes people, that is a bit of work for her. Wouldn't you think so? How would it be if somebody took you to like a wedding reception that you didn't know a soul, and now you have to sit up at the head table and, I don't know, maybe you give like the first toast. You might be a little nervous. You might be a little apprehensive. And so if someone said to you, hey, if you do that, I'll give you the best dinner tonight, you'd be more apt to do it. So that's not a bribe per se. It's like you're earning it. So you think of that with our animals, because that is the most effective way for them to learn, is to get a reward. Rewards are more than food, and I'll go to that in a little bit. The danger of punishment with pets. So things like these ultrasonic, no bark, they look like a remote control thing, the citronella collars, any kind of shocking collars, and such, actually increase anxiety and tend to increase aggression. It may stop the immediate behavior, but then we may see some other problem, other anxiety, or other aggressive problem show up. And secondly, if we're using that when we have children present, the animal learns, ooh, bad things happen when kids are present. I don't like kids. And then we want to actually teach, our dogs and cats, or have them learn the opposite, which is, oh, I like it when the kids show up. I get a reward, or I get something good happens for me. Now, it's good for you to know some of the basic signs of fear or anxiety, which oftentimes leads to aggression. Why? Because if an animal, let's say if Sasha was really scared right now, and she could not get physically further away, say from you look very nice, but let's just say she couldn't and she was very scared, and you stood up and came in this space, and she's like, I can't get away. She actually then may growl at you or lunge at you and say, you go away from me, because she shifts to aggression to control her environment, to stop the threat she's perceiving. So remember, it's all about the animal's perception, it's not about our perception. And that includes cats as well. And some cardinal rules for safety for our having a home with pets and children. Okay, so I'm talking about dogs first. Dogs tend to be, in a lot of ways, our most problematic animal with bites and injury with children, and then sometimes, in a way, our least problematic. So what I mean by this is that dogs have the greatest power to do damage to their bite. Their bites are much more damaging than cat bites are. There's many, many more people hospitalized getting plastic surgery, children especially, from a dog bite as compared to a cat bite. Cat bites are nasty. I'm not saying they're not a problem. They carry some nasty bacteria in that mouth that can cause a really bad infection. So we don't want to wait until we've got a bite before we say, ooh, maybe we've got a problem here in the home. And I think in your handouts, you've got some handouts from Dr. Sophia Yin and the early signs of anxiety and things. So you're going to go home with some, resources tonight. Now, also remember, too, that dogs have a natural desire to chase. So if children are running, what is the dog going to do? It's going to chase them. Very good. And this is based on dogs predating or to kill something, which is why, not that they want to kill children, but this is why if they're running, then they will jump and they'll grab. And then if you're a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old child, what will they do? They jump and they grab, and then the child falls down on the floor, and the child cries. And it sounds like a dying animal. And if you're going to kill something that's already half dead, oh, awesome, I can kill it some more. So then they may bite, because this is a whole pattern of predation. So chasing and running, we should keep the dog separate, or that dog has to be very well monitored or trained to not chase, okay? And like I said, in predation. So please understand that chasing and even going into predation is a normal dog behavior. That is not a bad dog. That is a normal dog. And I'll talk a little bit about how we can set up for safety, but I want you to make sure you understand that. Here are some other normal dog behaviors that increase the problems or risks. Dogs also compete. It is normal for a dog to feel competitive about a dog's food, about a dog's water, about their toys, and even sometimes space, like their bed. So the old sayings of let a sleeping dog lie, absolutely true. Don't teach your children go up and hug the dog when they're sleeping. Very common way they get bitten. Startle aggression, very common. If your dog is eating, do not be standing around your dog. Don't hover around your dog. Keep your dog separate. Give your dog a private space to eat. No kids around the dog. I want dogs and children and people and food 6 feet apart. It's just safety. I'm talking all about safety here tonight. Let's just not go there. Let's not have a problem. So right now, like I'm going to talk about, before your children arrive, get your dog used to, like Sasha, I have her tethered up to here to this table, and she's laying down, right? She was first whiny and wanted my attention, but she's given up on it because she knows I'm not going to give it to her right now. So she's laying here, she's quiet, she's still, and if I was over here eating my dinner, I could eat my dinner, and I could have my child, my toddler, over here, and they'll be safe. Because we don't have, if I was sitting here and eating with her, she may feel like, ooh, that's my food. And then we may have a problem where or if I dropped a piece of food, especially where it's right next to her, then she's like, it's mine. And if I were to reach down and get it, she might try to bite me because she feels the threat of me taking her food away. Okay, that's what food aggression is. High-pitched squeaking noises stimulate the prey drive. This is why dogs love squeaker toys. There's killing the squeaker toy. You don't realize it when you're like, oh, he always gets the squeaker out of it. Yeah, he just killed the toy and he gutted it. Okay? Please understand that. That's the whole reason why they like those squeaky toys. And unstuffing their toys, that's what they're doing. So when we have an infant laying on a bed, rolling around on that blanket, crying, never leave that child alone, because to that dog, now it's like, oh, you're squeaking, you sound weird, you look weird. They may nose at them, or they may bite at them because it looks like a dying animal to them, right? Lastly, any unmanaged fear or anxiety can lead to aggression, because like I explained, if they feel continually threatened, then they may have to turn to aggression as a way of, I need to get you away from me. And when we have any kind of fear and anxiety problems going on with your pets, please give me a call or get together with the veterinary behaviorist and get this addressed as soon as possible. Don't let it, it's not going to go away on its own. It tends to get worse over time, and especially as we hit the toddler years with children. Okay, so safety first. So I'm going to demonstrate here a little bit. I'll go over the slide here. So right now, get your baby gates. If you have a dog, how many here have dogs? Not everybody has a dog? Oh, wonderful. All right, I think baby gates, they are wonderful. They're awesome when you have a puppy. They're great, but get a baby gate now. You'll need it when your child is growing up, but even right now to manage your dog and get your dog used to going behind a baby gate and getting rewards. That they're a good dog when they're behind the baby gate. And this way we can keep them separate, like say from say the kitchen area. If you're eating and we want to keep the dog out of the kitchen area and you don't have a good place to tether them up, then we're going to put the baby gate up in, say, the doorway between the kitchen and the family area, and we give the dog a treat in that other area so they know that they're a good dog. So how would we do it? So, whatever baby gate you like, this is a typical pressure fit one. And I'll probably fit right about here. Well, good. Okay. So like what, when my daughter was growing up, what we always did in my home was even when she was an infant, we would have, and it was time for us to eat, etc. We'd have a baby gate just sitting there like that in the door. We have an older home, so we have a regular doorway between our dining room and our kitchen. And I know some of these newer homes have very open floor plans. But if you look in the pet catalogs, you will find these gates that go out 8 feet so that you can create a barrier, between, say, your kind of common kitchen, family, dining area kind of setup, okay? But the idea is that I would say to Sasha, come on, hi, it's dinner time. We're going to put you over here. Good girl, so I'm going to verbally reward her, and then I'm going to go ahead and set up baby gate and set that down. And Sasha, come here. All right, so I've got a handful of treats. I've set her up back here, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you that. Now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to make dinner, I'm going to do my thing, and my dog now just got rewarded for being over there. Now she's like, ooh, as I do this every night, she's like, yeah, I want to go over there. And I only give her the really yummy treats when she's over there and when she's on that side, because that gets her to like going over there and like being there. Some of your dogs may not like that right now, but they will learn to like it because you now are going to make it good for them to go over there. And as you probably heard me, as I put her up and put her away, I'm going to praise her, using your voice as a reward to the dog. So the whole setup isn't like, oh, come on, I've got to do this now. And, it's not filled with exasperation, or frustration. You make it a part of your ritual, you make it a part of your routine, and you make it, good, and keep things handy. Like I said, we always kept our baby gate, sitting right by here by the door, just so it was easy to pop open and pop close. So let's say dinner's over, and I've got everything kind of settled up. Now I'm going to say, okay, Sasha, you can come on back in here. Good girl. Yeah, okay. I can't wander all over the lecture hall. Okay, come on. So, and if, like I said, if having a baby gate is kind of difficult in your home, having just a regular 6-foot leash attached to her collar, and she's just having to wear a gentle leader right now, and then just tie this to a chair leg or a table leg, or you can put a screw eye in the wall, into the stud in the wall, and then you've got a secure place for her to be. And again, I would go ahead and give her Sasha. Go ahead and give her a reward down here. So this way she knows, she's like, oh, I want to stay in this area, and I'm a good dog when you tie me up. It's not about punishment. It's not about banishment. If you have a dog crate and your dog likes the crate, again, you're going to use the crate positively. I might say, let's go in your crate right now. And again, I toss a handful of treats, close the crate door. Now I can focus on my family and my child and have dinner and not have any problems, around food or things like this. And this would also include, let's just say, you're trying to get outside to go on a walk with your child. You're getting the stroller out, or you're getting the diaper bag, and all these other kind of commotion things that you may not want the dog kind of milling about and who's doing what and where. Then, having your dog used to being confined for these short periods, like 5 or 10 minutes, positively, is just a good way to manage that your 1-year-old isn't going to go running around the house and grab onto the dog while you're trying to do something else. These are when it's risky, when there's risk for bite. Big one, never ever leave your child alone with the dog. I don't know how many times to say this. About every time I've been called about a family dog biting a child, the parents stepped out of the room to answer the telephone. They stepped into the bathroom for a second, you name it. Child gets bitten and they're saying, I got to euthanize the dog. And when I say, what happened, sometimes they can't tell me what happened because they don't know. Or they'll say, well, he was eating his food in the kitchen. Now the child's going to be curious. I'm not saying the kids are bad, but they may wander around the dog. What I just say, dogs are going to compete over food. They're going to bite around the food. Or maybe the dog had his toy, and the child has been used to sort of reaching over and taking the toy away from the dog. And when the parent's there, when the adult is present, because you're the leader, the dog does not. The dog may be looking tense and trying to pick up the toy and move over here, and that's all the dog's doing is trying to leave the child, but never actually growls or attempts to bite. Now, see, when you walk out of the room, it's like when the teacher leaves the classroom. Everybody starts messing around, right? All right, so your child is going to do even more things without mom or dad there. And then also, too, the dog knows the human's gone that controls this child. This child is now more threatening to me. So then, again, that's why when you step out, there's a greater risk that the dog might bite the child, okay, because the dog is more nervous when you are not there. So if you have the phone ring or you name whatever, either the pet goes with you or the child goes with you. Or put the pet behind the baby gate, put the pet in the crate or whatever that you know there's going to be safety there. Okay. Like I said, keep children away from any dogs that are eating or sleeping. Just when I say dog in the private room, it might mean feeding the dog in the bathroom and closing the door, so that you can enforce that the children are not going to bug the dog. It can be separate and all that kind of thing. Don't allow the child to grab the face of the dog. See this picture here? At first glance, it might look kind of cute, but let's really look at this picture. What's the child doing? Somebody want to describe? Be brave. The child is grabbing the dog's muzzle, and see how the dog's got his body weight rocked back like this? He's trying to get away. He's trying to get away from the child, and he can't really, can he? She's got a good hold on him. And, it's outside and slick, and he's on chain. He can't get to another area. I mean, this dog is very if this dog doesn't bite this child, this dog is really a very tolerant dog. But this child is at a high risk for biting. If he just flipped his little face up, what would he be biting? The child's face, right? So kids do not handle dogs like this. Parent, go in, pull hands off of the dog with your child, separate the two. It's about also teaching your children proper greetings and so forth, but this is not good. This is better, but this still, I would rather have a parent standing right here and guiding that child's hands a little bit back and giving that dog a little more space. Because what could happen here? What if that child tumbled forward and her hand slid right up and hit the little pug's eyes? That would be easy. They've got bulgy eyes. And if it hurt, he may startle, snap around because it hurt. Okay? Or if his hand slid around and, he just or flopped onto the body of the dog. That's really just, I'm sorry, these are the times when I get called because he got nipped in the face, or other parents go, oh, we had a close call, we almost bit. So it's fine for him to pet the dog, it's fine for him to be close, but maybe the parent was nearby, I would hope, but I don't know. Anyway, we just need a lot more, that's what close supervision is. Your eyes are literally on your child. Okay. Okay, so the power of rewards. Rewards are our food, and that can include even their own kibble, your voice, petting your pet, nicely, like Sasha, like that. Play for a dog is a reward, and access to space, that the dog has the ability to get up in a chair or get in another area. You want to reward that dog when the dog is good or neutral. In other words, the dog doesn't have to be happy around the child, but frankly, I will say if the dog is not tense, nervous, or aggressing on the child, that's a good dog. I'm going to praise that dog, I'm going to toss him food or reward, etc. Because the dog is learning to tolerate the child. Children give dogs all of these confusing signals, all the things that they really don't understand. And the dogs who like children actually have learned, well, I get good things when the kids are around, like they drop food and I get food, or I got praise from my human owners because I just laid her and let the child crawl all over me, or I got more play because the kids were here, or I got more adults petting me because they're around the children and I'm the dog, and now I get more. So I think that's how our dogs get to be good around children. And that you want to praise and reward your dog whenever the baby cries, whenever they toddle past, whenever the child screams, and this is for the dog doing nothing. Okay. You want to praise that dog for doing nothing. This is how it builds up that tolerance in the dog. And it suddenly startles the dog. So that means that the child trips over your dog. And he just lays there like, huh? Oh, that's a good dog. Or if the child accidentally throws their toy and it bounces off the dog's head. I mean, this stuff happens, right? And the dog just looks like, oh, that was a nice toy. That's a good dog. Okay, because normally they could jump up or feel threatened by that. So parents, with a dog who is not anxious and is used to your handling, it does help a little bit to prepare your dog by handling them a little roughly and rewarding them. What I mean is, say like Sasha, and maybe hard for you to see. What I would do is I would pet her really hard on the head like this and give her some reward. All right? Here, get you set up right here, dear. Yes, I will. So I'm gonna pet you, and I may even pull a little on her ear. And I didn't pull hard, but just did this a little bit and gave her a reward. Because when you have a 1-year-old and they start petting the head, what do they do? Sometimes they hang on to that ear. So now if Sasha has learned, ooh, pulling on my ear means I'm getting a yummy, she may be more apt to just kind of sit there and take it because she's waiting for the yummy. And you got to use this with some, I don't know, caution or whatever, and it'd be good to at least maybe call me and discuss it. But that's a way you can help build some tolerance in your dog for all these things, because life happens in your home. I don't think it's possible for anyone to have a perfect home where no child will accidentally, say, trip over the dog, or, you know, start petting the dog and all of a sudden have a good hold on the ear or a good hold, you know, around the scruff of the neck or whatever. And so it does, you know, help to give your dog a little bit of proofing for this. With toddler children, we can have toddler children, you know, toss the rewards over the baby gate when we have to separate, when we want to separate for safety. But have the toddler, you can let under your supervision, toss the food or rewards over the gate to the dog. Now what that does is, because toddlers want to somehow get to the pet, right? So this gives them something that they can do. And number two, for the dog now is like, oh, okay, toddler, you're pretty cool. You've got yummies. And that makes them less anxious and less nervous about the toddler child. But I don't want the child hand feeding the dog, because the child may stick their hands and maybe stick them in the dog's mouth, and we don't want any biting. Even that's what I would call it could be an innocent, you know, about biting or mouthing. I just don't even want to go there. Let's just not even go there, because they get little hands, you know, and thin skin and that. Okay, so this is about why punishment and ultrasonic devices tend to backfire. So punishment, things like loud scolding, hitting the dog, choke chain corrections, any of the ultrasonic devices, they increase anxiety. Why? Because now the dog is learning that you're the deliverer, or whenever this thing is going off, whatever is around them gives them pain, and it makes them very nervous because they don't really understand. It might stop the immediate behavior, but then they're kind of frozen in a state of learned helplessness. So really, and so then that anxiety is associated with you or with the child, because it's happening when the child's around. And then that dog learns that the child means pain and anxiety. So you see how that backfires, and we tend to get more aggression problems if we're using these sorts of things. So I just have this picture down here showing these anti-bark collars. So, you know, please don't use those. I deal with a lot of problems with that. But if you are having problems, please seek a veterinarian with behavior expertise to help develop a safe plan for behavior in a home with children. Some trainers do a pretty good job, but sometimes when we really have chronic anxiety, there's a lot more deep-rooted problems going on, and there are things, medications and supplements that can help to relieve the anxiety so they can learn quicker, and that's what you need. You need things to be, you know, getting better quicker for safety in your home. Okay, so I want you to know some of the body language of fear and anxiety. So this is a dog, a picture I pulled off the internet. And so some of the classic signs, and the early signs are when you want to say, ooh, I don't think this dog's real happy right now. Because the early anxiety builds up like a stair step. And so while they're mildly anxious, then they get more and more, and that's when then they turn to aggression. And that could happen in time of 3 seconds. So when you can pick up early, when they're first looking tense, and just stop whatever's going on around that dog, then you can help to prevent them from feeling like they need to go to aggression. So, first of all, the dog's turning away. So, in other words, let's say if Sasha was a little nervous here, she may start turning around, giving her sorry, I'm going to pick on you here in the front row. Instead of facing you, oh, I'm so happy to see you, she may be turning her head here and standing here like this, doing like this. Okay, it's just like a person. If I was really nervous about somebody, I may go like this, okay? So when you first see them turning away or walking or moving away, that means they don't like what's around them. They're trying to get away from it. So if you have a dog who keeps getting up and keeps sort of settles down in the living room and then gets up and moves to another place and then gets up and moves to another place and gets up and moves to another place, that dog's anxious. And he's just trying to figure out where he can go. And maybe he hasn't learned a safe area, I'll go to my crate, or doesn't really have other areas to go to where he's conflicted. I don't want to leave the family room area or what. But that dog right there is telling you, I'm anxious. So we want to say, what's going on here? And maybe get him a safer place set up. If the ears are low and slightly turned back, when we have a dog with flattened ears, they are highly anxious. Like this dog here, it's kind of hard to see, he's a white dog, but his ears are actually kind of changing from flattened back to going forward, but this dog is actually shifting over from fear into forward anxiety. This is a photograph of the dog changing over from I'm just scared and I'll cower back to I think I'm going to go after you now because you're not going away. Whatever the you is over here. So moving slowly, kind of like they may stop and kind of creep around. They'll be licking their lips. If they lick their lips a lot, a barking or soft whine, just that kind of. That's anxiety. They're anxious, they're not happy, they're nervous. Looking around quickly, kind of that eyes lowered, or they look that worried look. If I ever say my dog looks worried. If their tail is, a happy dog has their tail anywhere between like 45 degrees down from level with the back to about 45 degrees up from level with the back. When the tail goes straight up, they're highly, ooh, what's going on? They're like on red alert. And I'm like ready to be, that's what you see with forward aggression. Like I'm just wanting to go after you, okay? And that's very dangerous. When the tail is now going to less than 45 degrees down, and especially if it's tucked. Tucked is high anxiety. When it's going to less than 45 degrees, or more than 45 degrees, sorry, down, then they're getting very anxious. So pay attention to what's going on. We want to relieve that, from our dogs. Okay, if you see hair raised down the back. Now, hair raised down the back can mean a lot of different things. It means they're really paying attention to what's going on around them, first of all. That's the best way to put it. You may see it when they're like, wow, here's my best friend to play, and he's really getting wound up. Or you could see it when they're like, whoa, who are you? And they may aggress. You may see it at times when they're really scared, and like this dog, see how his fur is kind of looking really poofy here? That's his hair standing up on his back. This is where it's first started. It's not his whole body. You may not see it down the whole body. You may see a little bit around the neck or a little bit coming down this way. So, pay attention to your dogs. And lastly, if a pet, let's say Sasha was like real happy taking treats from me, and all of a sudden, I don't know, let's just say there was a big noise in the room, and then she stopped taking treats. She starts looking around. Well, she's nervous about the noise, okay? That's why she stopped taking the treats. Her anxiety has her not want to eat. So that too, if it's like, wow, he was happy taking treats and now he doesn't want to do it, that can also be a sign to you that the dog is nervous. So fearful dogs will bite. So if your dog shows any of these signs, you have to set up a crate or a doggy, baby gate, doggy gate set up, or a doggy door that you can teach your dog to get out of the area in a positive and a safe way. You have to give your dog an out. I put this picture up here. Sorry, it looks a little gory here. But it's just really to remind you, like I said at the beginning, the power of a dog's bite. And this child, the skull has a very jagged cut going down here. It looks like a bite on the back. And I don't know what happened. This was like another picture I got off the internet on bite prevention talks. But honestly, this could happen in a second if this child, say, was wrestling around on the ground, and the dog's kind of nudging and barking to get the kid to stop. He doesn't stop. So then the dog just takes his teeth and barely goes like this. But because the dog's tooth, and remember I said the power of the jaw, is sharp, and there's thin skin. We humans, we don't have thick fur, Thin skin over the back of the skull of the child, it rips. Okay, or if this boy, let's just say, oh, my dog's sleeping and he's so cute, and so he flops down on him, that's another way how he may startle the dog, and the dog whipped around and got him on the back of the head. So this is why I'm really adamant about this. This is the stuff I hear about, and you guys in the hospital see. So anyway, the fear gets worse, not better without intervention, and most of our dog bites are due to fear. It's a fear-based aggression. It's not because it's straightforward. It's just a bad dog. But we miss a lot of the signs of fear. So last thing here, cardinal rules of safety with dogs. So I want at least 8 feet away, dogs to be at least 8 feet away from all people and all food. Okay? Start practicing that right now in your home. I know there may be some of you will be less than 8 feet, but at least you'll get the message. We won't have the dog underneath the kitchen table or right next to you or sitting on your legs while you're eating in front of TV. Okay? Please stop all that. Never leave your child alone with the dog for any reason at all. Period. Child goes with you or dog goes with you. That's just how it is. Don't allow the child to pull, pinch, swat, or stumble over the dog. Okay? Really watch your kids. You're not being paranoid. You know, be there with your kids, teach them to not do that, have them come away. If the child won't leave the dog alone, then you still separate the dog and the child, and especially make it really good for the dog. Like I said, having that escape area for the dog, like their baby, like their crate, that they can go into their crate, or say if Sasha, knew I kept putting her back out in that little hallway, she may even go out there on her own, which if I see her out there, it's telling me, well, I'll just pop up the gate to help keep her separated from Junior. We want to reward all calm, non-aggressive, or fearful behavior by the dog around children. And we do not want to use any punishers with the dog, especially when we have the children around. And if you don't already have a dog, please don't get one until your youngest child is 6 years old. Because children have to learn a lot about proper dog greetings. And in your packet of handouts, we should have the proper dog greeting handout from Dr. Yin. And if you don't, you can go on my website. It's on there to download. But when a child is less than 6, they can't reliably, really follow, say, your verbal instruction and you showing them how to, like, okay, first ask, can I pet your dog? And is he a nice dog from the shoulders back? The child cannot be relied upon on their own to learn that, to follow it reliably until they're about 6 years old. At about age 4, they can tell you, yeah, I got it, yeah, I can do it. But when your back is turned, they won't do it right because they're just not old enough to have really got it locked into their memory. So, you can do lots of things around your friends' pets and all of that before they're 6 years old, and we can get fish, and we can do other things for good pet ownership. But if you don't have a dog, please don't get one until they're, 6 years old. Oopsie. There we go. So, and if we have a problem dog at home, I know some of you sometimes and I'll take questions here in a little bit. Understand that, and aggression is managed, it is not cured. All dogs have the potential to be aggressive, just like all people do. If I threatened you bad enough, and I kept coming after you, and you thought this woman is really going to hurt me, you'd haul up and hit me, right? And if you had a weapon available, you'd use it on me if you really, really felt threatened. So everyone has that possibility. It's all about how threatened do you feel, and either can you get away from it, if you can't get away from it, then you're going to use what tools you have to keep it away from you. And dogs always have their tools available, so teeth. Teeth are not just for eating, they're also their tools. So it can be managed though, if we know the triggers and we can either counter condition them or set it up for safety. There is a huge liability and variability in trainers who take on aggressive dogs. Trainers are not required by law to have any kind of certification or any kind of licensure to do training. Now, many do have some kind of certification like American Association of Professional Dog Trainers or Karen Pryor Clicker Training Association, which is great. Okay, it really is. They have a lot of good training. All I'm saying is that if you look for a trainer, there is no other governing body to know what does this trainer know, et cetera, et cetera. And secondly, too, many aggressive problems are made worse or have a connection in with a physical problem that the trainer can't evaluate for, and know about. So really, if you have an aggressive dog, you want to, if you have a trainer, fine, you got to work together with your veterinarian and so on. But really, veterinarian behaviorists to rule out the pain problems too, as well as really evaluating the safety and prognosis for this aggression is very important. And then lastly, sometimes rehoming the pet, getting a new home for the pet, may be the best option than to take risk on injury. And you don't want to lie about the problems. Okay, that's an important thing. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to come up to my cat talk, but before I do, I can take some dog questions here. If anybody has any dog safety questions. Oh, I forgot a couple things. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll give you a few added stuff. So, at times, you might be, like I said, setting up the baby gate. This is called a food puzzle. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a toy, and it unscrews, and I can put Sasha's food. Ooh, what do I have for you, dearie? Okay, so I've cut up her treats in little pieces, but you can put a regular food kibble in here, like a regular nuggets from her Korean dog chow. And this is a great way that you can feed her, but let's just say you've got your child, you're trying to juggle getting off to work in the morning, you gotta feed the dog, you know, you've gotta feed the baby, I'm supposed to get her behind the baby gate, oh my God. And the dog now is barking and whining because she wants some attention, and yeah, you wanna give her some attention time, but now you've had to walk shorter because your life is busier. So, this toy, when you put the food in it, it has a couple little holes in it, and so now her job is to, here you go, if I put it on the floor, she's gotta knock it around to get the food out of it. It's very rewarding. It gives her a lot of play. Yeah, you've got that, don't you, girl? And so let's say, you know, I'm trying to get Thanksgiving dinner ready or a birthday party meal, and I'm gonna have to put my dog behind the baby gate, and I've got a little bit of guilt going on. I can load up like the food puzzle, and that's gonna keep her busy for a good 20 minutes, maybe in a half an hour playing with that. So she's real happy, but I don't have to be like constantly tossing kibble over to her either. This way you've got something set up and they really like it. This one is called the Busy Buddy by Premier. There's lots of different kinds of food puzzles. You can go to Prairie Land Feed or you can go to PetSmart and find them, and they're very durable. And as your children get older too, then you can also have them help you set it up, and then like a child can drop this over the baby gate for the dog, you know, to play with. Now, sometimes too, having things like a towel that you lay on the floor, like on the, say, tether area, is part of her learning, this is my spot. I can take the towel here and lay it on the floor. And so when it comes time to tether and I tether her, it's kind of like telling, oh, okay, this is my spot. And I made a comfortable place for her, and she learns, oh, this is where I lay. It all becomes part of that routine for having control and having, you know, safety for her. Yes, you're a girl. Okay. Okay, well, that's my dog talk, and so if anybody has any questions, I can do that. And maybe get on the cat talk. Oh, yeah.
Hi. We drive a lot with our dog in the car. And we're getting ready to have a baby. Is there any way to safely drive with both of them in the car?
That's a really good question. Her question is, she drives a lot in the car. They're gonna have a baby, and the baby's gonna be a car seat, and the car seat's gonna be in the back seat of the car. Do not have the dog next to the child. No, too close. So, depending on the type of car you have, you're gonna need to put the dog like in the very back of the car with like one of those Grady things, because you know your dog's gonna be curious and may sniff around the baby's head. The baby's mouth smells like milk. The baby's diaper is very attractive to a dog. So you've got to have up that kind of barrier if you're going to have the dog in the car with the baby. So those little Grady things that go across the back seat, so the very last portion, if you have like an SUV, a station wagon type car, that would be the safe setup. Yeah.
My dog's gotten better over the years, but what I worry about with her more is she gets excited and she gets a little handsy.
Okay, so she's
She's
pawing.
happy to see somebody.
Okay, so you're asking is like when she sees somebody, she's jumping up, or she just takes her paw and goes like that?
More sitting and just pawing
Okay.
somebody.
What she's learned over time is by pawing, I get something from you. Whether it's she gets touched, or even if you're trying to verbally correct her, she's getting something back. So you've got to change the kind of greeting, you know, method with her, or how you give her attention. So when you, whenever you are with her, first of all, you can praise her, or put her in a sit, put her down, and have her practice a few things where she gets verbal praise and verbal reward and petting. And watch her, as soon as she starts to bring her hand up, you stand up and walk away. So you completely remove from her everything she wants. And if she looks at you confused, like, what? You go, good job. Okay, because that's right. I want your feet down, and looking at me is when you get praise. And it takes repeatedly doing that and being very conscious that nobody else gets her attention.
Yeah, well, and over the years I've gotten her to where she won't do it with me, but if somebody she really likes, but isn't there all the time, comes over,
Yeah.
then I still get it every now and again. So is there any way to extinguish the last little bit?
The way to extinguish the last little bit then is for you, your wife, and all your family members, really practice a lot of her sit and her down on command. So when people are visiting, you're going to have her be sit and down and good dog, and so you kind of have her more under command for you stay good, and you watch her. And when she starts to go to that friend and wants to put the paw, you can give her a quick correction like a no, as soon as she stops, then praise her, and then you move her away from your friend. All right, so you can't train your friend on how to train your dog, but you can at least now you're saying to the dog like, hey, no, you know, you lost access to this space. So, and that's like your punishment. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I can get started with the cat talk.